The museum also exhibits pieces from the Greco-Roman and Coptic periods, where it contains rare icons, as well as artifacts from the Islamic era, including the cover and the key of the Kaaba. It also includes antiquities from the modern era, including the statue of Khedive Ismail and the drawings of Muhammad Ali. And to know more about the restoration part, we are glad to be joined by Mrs. Sumaya Abdel Khaliq, and she's the head of textile restoration. And also we have with us Heba Othman, metal restoration specialist. And welcome to Nile Cruise. Okay, Mrs. Heba, let's start with the role of restoration and its importance in the museum.
The main role of a restorer in the museum is to preserve artifact, each piece due to according to its state of damage, and in restoration and conservation we mainly concerned about define the damage to be more able to pick the most way to restore and conserve the artifact.
And you restore the piece at a very good shape, and it becomes as real as it was before? Or
depends on the piece. The main role is to be in a suitable stage. The least prevention is the most.
Okay. Mrs. Sumaya, what are the tasks assigned to conservation department here at the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization?
In fact, the conservator and scientist at the conservation center here at the museum cooperate with curators and to preserve and conserve the collection at the museum. And our goal here and task is to maintain the physical and cultural characteristic of the object from different area. As you know, that the the museum housing artifact from 3000 BC to modern or to nowadays objects. For the textile conservation lab, we set a guideline to deal with the object in display and in storage as well.
If I say, what was the most piece of artifact that needed more work and it was very delicate and very hard to restore it?
Of course, the ancient Egyptian object. We have a very tiny object from the first dynasty for Mecca, which dated back to more than 3000 BC, which means more than 5,000 years old. This was a very delicate object to deal with, and also many, the mahmal, which is the Kaaba cover, was a very huge piece, and they need a lot of care for dealing with and for cleaning it and clean, especially the metal thread, which was a silver cover with gold. Actually, the textile object in general is a very delicate object, and it needs a lot of attention when you deal with it.
And Mrs. Heba, the same question here for you. What was the most hard piece that you worked in?
Of course, it's the ancient Egyptian artifact, because it's very old. We talk about 1,000 years ago. They need very extreme caution during restoration. We start with documentation and examination, analysis to define the best way to conserve it.
Mrs. Sumaya, tell us more about the mummies that was restored here and the most, of course, important ones.
The Royal Mummy Gallery, considered to be the, we can say, the crown jewel of the mimic. The museum received 22 royal mummy for kings and the queen of ancient Egypt, who ruled Egypt more than dated back to 3000 BC. The museum designed the gallery to display this royal mummy to give the visitor to give the feeling of the visitors that they are strolling down the Valley of the King in Luxor, where all this royal mummy was originally resting there. For the showcases, we display the royal mummy on it. It's a special kind of showcases. It's free oxygen cases. Because the oxygen can harmfully the delicate object as royal mummy, and we control also the humidity, temperature. What also fascinated at the Royal Gallery that this display the CT scan for some of the royal mummy, which this recently technique used for reveal many secrets of the royal mummy, the age and sex, and if any material are hidden, because some of the mummy was unwrapped, and this technique was very useful for studying this kind of royal mummy.
Maintenance for the piece of artifacts, how long does it take? And how many times you make restoration for the piece of art?
It depends on the condition of the object. If the condition of the object is very bad, it needs, of course, more time than regular condition for the object, and also for how the importance of the object. Like as I mentioned, the mahmal, which is very emotional object for all Egyptian, connected with the pilgrims and Mecca, all these sacred places for Egyptian. It was very difficult for taking care and put a conservation project for it.
Okay, Mrs. Heba, what are the most recent techniques used in restoration nowadays?
Okay, in metals we have X-ray for examinations artifact. You can see all losses and cracks. It's more easy to see it with X-ray. And in treatment, we can use laser cleaning, and we have a nano technology. We use it in restore and cleaning of the metal.
And does here the National Civilization of the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization cooperates with other Arab museum or foreign ones?
For the foreign ones, we have a lot of cooperation. Most of the archaeological institute in Egypt, we have a cooperation with them. FAO, the French Institute, Archaeological Institute. Our colleague in the carbon 14 dating unit have trained in their unit at the FAO, German Archaeological Institute, Italian Archaeological Institute. The staff of the textile conservation participate in their excavation in Minya, in Sheikh Ibada village. But unfortunately for the Arabs, the cooperation is very limited. But 2 years ago there was a workshop in mummy conservation, and 3 of the Libyan conservators attend this workshop here at the museum.
Well, Mrs. Heba Othman, metal restoration specialist, and Mrs. Sumaya Abdel Khaliq, head of the textile restoration at the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you. And please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile TV International and on Nile Cruise.